Yeah, there's classier horses in the race, but this one's pretty talented, and I think can at least grab a slice of the action.
33-1 for a filly
That'll
that
do.
very much lives up to her name. That will definitely do, Nick. Yes. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Inside Track, brought to you by William Hill, where we are previewing a very busy weekend of action. Of course, it is Super Saturday, and we're going to be previewing 4 races from York and Newmarket. My name is Kate Tracey, and joining me are Louis Steward and William Hill ambassador Nick Luck, who's hopefully his signal will be able to hold up for the duration of the podcast as Nick is on location. But if we do lose you, Nick, then at least we've teed it up at this stage anyway. Right, lads, as I say, we're going to be previewing those 4 races as well as giving our naps of the day. But before we get into the action, of course, we have been through some desperate times then in the last couple of days in terms of the broadcasting world and, of course, the horse racing world as well. And we would just like to acknowledge and send our thoughts, love and prayers to John Hunt and his family. Some days sport seems trivial, and this is certainly one of those days after the horrific events that unfolded on Tuesday evening. So just from myself, the lads and everyone here at William Hill, we would just like to extend all of our thoughts to John Hunt, his family and his friends as well. But we carry on as we always do, and there is plenty to cover this weekend. Now, before we get stuck into the action, a reminder about William Hill's top price guarantee. William Hill have a top price guarantee for the first ITV race of the day at Ascot at 1:45. So make sure to utilise that. Right, guys, we will get into the action properly now, but we're starting at York with the 310, the John Smith's Cup Handicap Stakes, Heritage Handicap, 3-year-olds and over 10 furlongs. So nice easy one to start with. An extra place race, William Hill paying 5 places each way instead of 4. So Nick, would you like this bit of a hospital pass to hand over to you for this?
Kate, Liberty Lane was the horse that I liked in this race. It's quite often you get a John Smith's Cup and you imagine that it's going to be run at an extremely stern pace. And oftentimes it isn't. And they go round a little bit like a fairground ride. And you're looking for someone to take the initiative. I also don't necessarily think it's the deepest John Smith's Cup that I've ever seen. And I'd like to look for a horse with a little bit of class. So given the trainer's confidence, given the horse's form, given the fact that any further rain is not going to be a major inconvenience, Liberty Lane was where I stuck my pin in the John Smith's Cup.
It definitely is a pin, isn't it? But with that high draw then to boot, Liberty Lane, Carl Burke and Sam James in the plate.
I don't have too much of a problem with the high draw, to be honest. I know it's ostensibly it's not ideal round York at 10 furlongs, but this horse has got quite a lot of tactical speed. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. And if the ground is riding on the easier side, then sometimes middle to stand side is the place to be anyway. So I don't really think that that's going to be too much of a disadvantage. So he'd be the one that I'd be looking to here. I just think he's got a bit more class than most of these, and has got and figures to improve still from this mark.
Yeah, well, 106 he's rated, so he's definitely in that higher bracket as well, like say, for the class angle in this year's race. And Louis, Nick makes a really good point there about the weather, and it feels like that's all we've been talking about this entire flat season so far, is trying to anticipate the weather, exactly what to expect. But with that higher draw, very often they do swing into the centre, if not stand side, into the home straight at York. So the higher draws may not be as much of a disadvantage as previous renewals would suggest.
No, exactly. And the first bend at York is quite easy to kind of negotiate your way around it. Being in a high draw is probably not the end of the world here in a race like this. They're going to go hard from the gates early on and kind of leave themselves a bit strung out going into the first bend. So you'd be able to get quite a nice pitch, I think, from even so a wide draw. I mean, Haunted Dream and Liberty Lane are probably the two here that have the most class in the race. I kind of agree with Nick that Liberty Lane is probably the best horse in this race. He did finish behind Haunted Dream last time out, but I don't think he quite got the rub of the green at Epsom. So I would have to agree with my old ally there and say that Liberty Lane is going to win the John Smith's Cup.
Good
No
man.
clashing but Titans this week then, after
Good man.
that head-to-head battle that we had last week. The pair of you agreeing on this one then, with Liberty Lane, with that class angle to come to the fore. Well, it only feels right then that I should interject with something completely different, and very much at the other end of the market as well, because I'm giving a chance to a 33 to 1 shot in here with Kingfisher King, who's making his reappearance start here. William Haggis, a sheen or in the plate as well. And the angle I like about him is the fact that he is reappearing in this. In the past, well, 3 of the past 4 winners of this race won it, making their reappearance as well. Anne Mart in 2022, Johnny Drama in 21, Sinjari in 2020. So I like that angle for this race. Kingfisher King clearly remains lightly raced still, just the 5 runs to his name. The one success in that came in his second start in a Salisbury Maiden, subsequently gelded afterwards though. But the 2 handicap starts so far, the latest of which was at this track, but he was markedly stepped up in trip, which I thought was a bit bizarre, over a mile 6 on that occasion. Bit of a laborious effort really, just sort of plugged on over that distance. So I think down £1, back in distance to the 10 furlong as well. A horse that I don't want to dismiss at a big price. So Kingfisher King for me, 33 to 1 shot, going to be taking advantage of those extra place races that William Hill are offering. But the lads are with Liberty Lane. Now we move to Newmarket's July course for the 325, the Group 2 Superlative Stakes for the 2-year-olds over 7 furlongs. And Louis, we've got a pretty strong favourite in here with Ancient Truth for Charlie Appleby. William Buick taking the ride. Does he remain unbeaten in this though?
I think it's quite an interesting race, really. Obviously, he's still a horse that's very unknown. He's won quite impressively at Newmarket last time out, and a lot of people made talks that he was probably going to be one of Charlie's Guinea's hopes next year. But for me, columnist for Richard Fahey and James Doyle, I just think I look at Watnan as an operation and think that the money they're spending on these 2-year-olds is definitely for them to be good right now at this age. So very impressed with his run at Royal Ascot last time out. He kind of was closing down the winner, and they basically finished over the line in a heap. So realistically, if I look at that race, I think he's improved a lot from his Chester run, and I think he's going to improve again. I really like him. He's off a mark of 103, and like I mentioned, I just think Watnan are really trying to get these 2-year-olds up and going, and this looks a good opportunity for him to get his head back in front.
What's James said about him?
That would be inside information now, Kate.
Exactly. This is called the inside track for a reason, Louis.
Exactly. No, James found it very hard to pick which horse he was going to go for in the Coventry, and he said that was his toughest decision of the week, actually, to go between which of the 3 he was going to choose. But again, he didn't ride this horse first time out at Chester. Jack Garrity did, so that was kind of what swayed him away from this horse. But definitely Richard Fahey has a lot to say about him. And when James Doyle, I think he went down to sit on him the week before Royal Ascot, he said very impressed with him, and he's a real good looking horse.
For all that we've got all of these unknowns, Charlie Appleby and Godolphin's record in this race speaks for itself. If Araby had run in this, he was always unlikely to be stepping up in trip, but sheer ability-wise, he would have been interesting. Of course, he didn't get the declaration as we were anticipating he wasn't going to anyway. So I think that's now paved the way for Ancient Truth to go 3 from 3. Both of those successes coming at Newmarket as well on both tracks. We know he handles the July course and 7 furlongs after that course and distance novice success last time out that had previously been won by stablemate Ancient Wisdom last year before he went on to success in the Autumn Stakes and the Futurity subsequently. So seemingly following a similar enough path, but clearly plenty is expected of him to try and follow in his own stablemate's footprints from last year. So finally, a bit of disagreement there. Let us know in the comments section below who you fancy for the Superlative Stakes. Now we move on to the 4 o'clock at Newmarket, the Bunbury Cup Heritage Handicap for 3-year-olds and over. Again, over 7 furlongs here. An extra place race. William Hill paying 5 places each way instead of 4. And I dare say, Nick, we may be needing every one of those. What do you fancy?
I fancy a horse who is a complete monkey, I think, but this might be his day. Mostab
Great start.
Okay.
One day, this horse is going to win by miles, and it might just be in this. I think there's quite a bit of pace on here, but I'm not sure how how quality a running of it is. I feel like a broken record a little bit. But there is quite a bit of pace in the race. I mean, Gorak's going to take them along at a good clip and actually might run all right. But I think Mostab Sheer might just be buried away by Crowley. That was a much better run last time at Ascot. They got the headgear on again. He's ready to explode. He's basically a group horse who's marking time and faffing about in these handicaps. And all he needs to do is pull his finger out, and he's really well handicapped. I just think the way this race shakes down might give him a bit of a squeak. And I just like him at the prices. He's too good a horse. He's too good a horse to be running in a handicap at 14-1, I think. And that's the way I want to play this. He's a monkey, but I think he's a very talented one.
Yeah, a talented monkey. There you go. They're the type of characters that we love in this game. Now rated 102, but that, of course, has fallen down from a mark of 108 then that he gained after his novice success, wasn't it? So Mustabshir, he's got his own mind about the game, but the ability, I defy anyone to try and claim otherwise. Then 14-1 in here, Mustabshir. Nick is in a forgiving mood, clearly. Louis, are you likewise?
I'm going to go with something a bit more consistent, a lot shorter price than Nick. Divine Libra for me is pretty solid in these type of races. Nick's nodding his head, so I've clearly said something that he had a thought of. Drawn high, I like being drawn high at Newmarket when there's a bit of juice in the ground. Coming down that stand side rail, from a jockey's point of view, is for how I used to read races, definitely a plus. This horse won at Chester well with William Buick at the start of the year, and then he was unlucky not to win at Newmarket the time after that, and ran a very impressive race at Royal Ascot last time. These big handicaps are not easy to win. I think you need a very tough horse and one that wears their heart on their sleeve. So I know he started winning off a mark of around mid-80s in handicaps, now up to 95. So I do believe that there might be slight wiggle room still if he can get the run of the race.
Well, at least you were getting a nod of approval there as well, but still a nice price to boot. 8-1 then for Divine Libra in there. So again, a way to use those extra places that William Hill are offering. I am also hoping to utilise those with, again, he's a fair enough price in this, 25-1 for Darkness at the time of recording, who of course was a winner over this course and distance last time out, where he did love the quick ground admittedly, so that is going to have to be something that you factor into your assessment of this horse. But I thought he might have been turned out pretty quickly after that success, but they've gone the 16 days now, and it was such an easy win that I thought maybe the penalty might be the way to play it. £6 higher though this time around, but as judged on the RPR that he posted last time out, there still should be more to come from him off of this mark of 91, and that time was fast by 0.32 seconds as well. So again, we talk about tricky customers, tricky horses to try and predict from one run to the next. Darkness would probably fall into that category, but he has backed up his success with a good run on his subsequent start in previous times. So I have to have every hope he's going to be there once more, and at 25-1, I'm willing to take that chance. But that was our look ahead then to the Bunbury Cup. Again, do let us know who you fancy for that race in the comments section below. As we sign off then with the 4:35, the Group 1 July Cup Stakes, 3-year-olds and over 6 furlongs. We get the battle between Inisherin and Van Dijk again here, Louis. So this is going to be a belter.
Yeah, definitely a very exciting race to watch. It's going to be, there's a lot of high-class performers in here, and definitely a race where, if the top two in the market don't come to the fore, which maybe I don't think there's too many problems with Inisherin, I really do believe that he is the superstar of this field. But there's some horses in here like Kinross, Regional, Jassur, all horses that can definitely run big on the day. But for me, Inisherin, I have him over Van Dijk. I just can't trust what Van Dijk showed me at Haydock was just very subliminal, and I see at no point in that race that he ever went forward off the bridle, bit gassy early on, and okay, I know his 2-year-old form was very special. I just not sure he's going to carry that over to his 3-year-old career, especially with these sprinters. They kind of need that confidence to kind of get the ball rolling again. And as we all know, sprinters can be more inconsistent than any other type of races. So for me, Inisherin, I think he's probably a horse that's going to actually have a lot of scope to stay further in the future. So he's a very good 6 furlong horse, but I'm hoping as the year goes on, if he stays in training, which I believe he's going to next year, he'll be better over a bit further.
I'm going to take you on then, Louis. Again,
Go on
the
then.
forgiveness is transcending in Nick's absence through to me then, because Van Dijk, I'm going to give him another chance in here. This is the complete opposite of a profile of a horse. In a race like this, I want to be siding with when you've got such a solid performer such as Inisherin. But that 4-1, 9-2 about Van Dijk is just enough of a carrot to be dangled to lure me in by those pesky traders. They're doing it to me again then here. I was so disappointed though, as you've just said, Lou, with that reappearance start where I know you can say about the soft ground, but when you go back to his form last season, the question was there whether or not he was just a soft ground performer. Was he going to be able to show it on quicker ground when he went to Newmarket in the Middle Park then at the end of last season? And obviously he handled the quick ground absolutely fine there. So I don't buy into that theory that soft ground was totally the reason why he got beaten on that reappearance start at Haydock against the reopposing Inisherin there. So I would side with him again, just give him another chance. And I hope it was a shock to his system. And Inisherin then, of course, going into that with 2 runs under his belt that season already. And from last season, who did I think, well, from so far in their careers, who did I think is the horse that's blown me away the most? Van Dijk still then from that form last year. So as I say, 4-1, 9-2, just enough of a carrot to be dangled for me. But Nick, Louis and I have got contrasting opinions here, or betting angles, maybe not opinions, very similar opinions, contrasting betting angles for this July Cup. But which side of the fence did you fall down on?
Well, if it's an Inisherin Van Dijk argument, I'm always Inisherin. I mean, until Van Dijk proves to me that he can do what he did last year, I'm all about Inisherin, a horse I absolutely love. Issue with me punting in this race is that this fast 6 furlongs on the July course that Louis referred to, they get a lick on. There's plenty of downhill. If it keeps drying up, it's not going to be as easy for him. To me, he was always half at his max at Ascot and then drew away because he really outstayed and outclassed his field. That's going to be harder for him to do on this track, I think. I think Ascot probably suited him better than this will. And therefore, at the prices, I'd rather look for something who I think is going to run a big, bold race at a big, big price. And I think Swing Along second in the Jubilee is the one to be with here. Goes with a bit of cut, will be swinging along out the front, and I think might just take a little bit of pegging back. Yeah, there's classier horses in the race, but this one's pretty talented, and I think can at least grab a slice of the action.
33-1 for a filly that very much lives up to her name. That will definitely do, Nick. Yes. 33-1 about Swing Along. But if you were to come down the side of the fence between Inisherin and Van Dijk, you will also be with Louis then with Inisherin, which I completely understand. Just for solid play in the race, isn't he? At 9-4. Again, do let us know in the comment section below who you fancy for the July Cup. Right, lads, all that is left for me to do is to get your nap. So, Nick, whilst we still got you, your nap, please, of Saturday.
Liberty Lane in the John Smith's Cup, please.
In the John Smith's Cup, goodness me, there is brave, and then there is the John Smith's Cup nap. Louis, your own nap, please.
I'm going to go in the 4:07 at Ascot, a horse of Saeed bin Sarur's Passion and Glory, down back into a handicap off a mark of 105. He's a group performer on his day. I like him over 1.5 miles. Good to soft ground is going to suit him. And I just think in this class of race, he might just come good.
We don't have the clash of the titans again then between you two going head to head with your naps, but going a little bit different there, Louis. I like that a lot. Appreciate that. I'm going to play it pretty safe, well, seemingly so. Ancient Truth for me then in the Superlative Stakes over the 7 furlongs. Proven himself at the track. Hopefully he can go unbeaten. 3 from 3 in that group too. Right, that is everything from us on this episode of Inside Track, brought to you by William Hill. So a big thank you to Louis and to Nick for their time and their efforts into this week's show. Of course, a reminder of William Hill's top price guarantee offer for the first ITV race of the day. But a big thank you to you at home for watching. What did you think of our preview? Who do you fancy? What is your own nap of the weekend? Let us know in the comment section below, and we'll catch up with you again very soon. Well, thank you for watching our Inside Track preview. If you would like to go back and watch Louis, Nick and I ranking our all-time greatest flat jockeys, click the link in the screen. 18 plus, please remember to gamble responsibly.